How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Play Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys want access to this private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to get access to that. Now that out of the way, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Today and next episode, we're going to be working in the backend, getting a lot of stuff for the more advanced messaging stuff done, so like replying, hiding messages, reacting, things like that. So what we're going to go ahead and work on today is specifically we're going to fix a bug with a comparator that I noticed when I was editing an episode this week, and we're going to go ahead and get it so that we can go ahead and react to messages, just because it took a little bit longer. And then in the next episode, we're going to go ahead and group together hiding messages, reading messages, as well as replying to messages. I think if I said replying twice, I'm sorry. Read, reply, and hide. I was looking at my sticky notes. So that being said, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and fix up the comparator first. So here I made a typo. This should be arg1 instead of arg0. So technically this was broken. Hopefully it wasn't too broken and broke everything, but I want to go ahead and fix that before people really start yelling at me. And I'll go ahead and try to make a comment or something in that video where I made this typo that this has been fixed. So that being said, let's go ahead and start working on getting the reactions working. So first we need to go ahead and make a new model called MessageReaction. So I'm gonna go ahead and say space JC. If you guys are using IntelliJ, whatever, do what you need. So this is gonna go inside of our models. And this is gonna go ahead and be called message reaction. I probably could have just called this reaction or something, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and throw at entity above this. I'm also gonna go ahead and throw in a table. And inside table, I'll go ahead and say name, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say message_reactions. So it's gonna basically store our reactions, which are gonna have a couple things. First, it'll have an ID. It'll also have a @generated value. Inside, we'll have a strategy equal to generation type, and then .auto. I'll fix that in a second. @column, inside @column, let's have a name equal to, and we'll go ahead and say message_reaction_ID. Here we'll have a private integer, make sure I spell integer right, integer, and this will be message reaction ID. Let's go ahead and get the generation type installed or imported. There we go. And next we'll have an @1to1. Inside the 1-to-1, we're gonna go ahead and say, whoops, cascade is equal to cascade type .all. We're also going to go ahead and have an @join column. Inside our join column, we have a name equal to message_reaction_user, and reference, whoops, if I could type reference name column, it's going to be user_ID. For whatever reason, this one you have to use the actual table column. So here we're going to have an application and user, and we'll go ahead and call this reaction user. So who's reacting to the message. Next we have an @column, and this one is just going to have a name equal to, this is the actual reaction we're adding. This one I have a private string and reaction. So this is just going to be the emoji. And finally I have an @mini to 1. And here we'll have @join column, and then here will be name equal to message_ID. So what message are we actually reacting to? We need to JSON ignore this, otherwise it breaks everything. And this is going to be a private message from our models, message. And then we'll have a public and message, if I could type, reaction, and empty one. We'll have a public message reaction, and here this will have our application user. It'll have our string reaction, and it'll have our message. So here we'll say this dot reaction user is equal to user. This dot reaction is equal to reaction, if I could type, and finally this dot message is equal to message. Looks good. Let's go ahead and set up some getters and setters and stuff. And also I forgot to go ahead, let's import this cascade all like that. Looks good. Let's go ahead and space CA. Go ahead and generate those getters and setters. Let's go ahead and generate a toString. Now I don't know if this toString has to be changed. Let me go ahead and take a look here. Let me just check the code to see if I want to change anything in here. I do. So message, it's gonna be message.get and then message ID. That way it doesn't break anything. I don't think we do. Actually, reaction user will also say dot get and then user ID. That way it doesn't break. That should all be good now. And then let's go ahead and just say space CA and just do hash code equals and include everything. Whoops, messed up. When we fix this, go ahead and say hash code equals 1, 2, 3, and 4. That looks good to me. We just need to make sure that our toString doesn't try to print out the reaction user or the message, because it could cause an infinite loop. So now here comes the fun part, adding in all of these new fields into the message modal and probably breaking and missing things. So let's hop into the message. So inside of message, we're going to come down here to the bottom here below where our message image is. And then here, we're going to go ahead and say public. I went a little bit too far. Oops. Go ahead and come down here. There we go. Here, we'll go ahead and say at 1, 2, 1, maybe. And then here, this will be cascade equal to cascade type dot all. And this is going to also have an at join column. And here, this is going to be message underscore reply underscore to. We can only reply to like one message at a time. So we're going to go ahead and just make this a one-to-one. Make sure we put name here. Otherwise, I'm scratching my head why it's not working. And then here we'll say reference column name is going to be equal to message ID. Don't know why this one works this way, but it is what it is. We private message and then reply to. So whenever we're replying to a message, we want to be able to keep track of that. I have an at 1 to many here. And then this one is going to be mapped by equal to. And here we're going to have message reaction ID. So this is going to be a private set of message reaction, and we'll go ahead and call these reactions. So whenever someone reacts to your message, go ahead and add to that. And finally, I have an at mini. Whoops, if I could type, that'd be cool. To mini, and then here underneath the main menu, an at join table, and then inside of a join table, we'll have a name equal to message underscore hidden underscore by. So whenever we want to hide a message, we'll add them to this. Join columns is going to be equal to at join column, and this will be name equal to user underscore ID. And then we'll also have our inverse join columns is at join column and name equal to message underscore ID, like so. Inside here, we'll have a private set of application user, and then this will be hidden by maybe. There we go. So that's set up. Now what we want to go and do is we want to add in the new hash sets here. So we're going to go and say this dot hiddenBy is equal to new hash set, like so. And this dot reactions is equal to a new hash set. Why I set it up with this, I don't know. Don't ask me. But that's good to go. We should probably also set up like a new all args, except it doesn't really matter because hiddenBy is going to be blank, reaction will be blank, and reply to will set later. So this is fine. We will go ahead and generate new getters and setters. So let's scroll down to the bottom here, and I'll just go ahead and come in here and say space CA, new getters and setters. Maybe. I don't know if it added them or not. Let's just double check. It might have done it at the top or something. It didn't. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and delete these then. Last time I didn't have to delete these, but this time I guess I'm going to. Or did it put it underneath? Let's check under here. Yeah, sometimes it puts it underneath instead of on top where we want them. Let me just go ahead and move this up to make it look prettier. So we'll put it here. Paste that and just go ahead and format it really quick to make it look better. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this toString hash code equals because we're going to go ahead and make these better. So go ahead and put a toString. We'll go ahead and add all of these. So this goes all the way to like 11 now, which is crazy how many properties we have in here. So that's good to go. And now we need to make some changes here. So sent by, we want to make sure this doesn't cause an issue. So this is going to go ahead and say dot get user ID, just to kind of make that a little bit better. Conversation, same thing. We're going to go ahead and say dot get conversation ID to make that nicer. Message text fine, sent at's fine, sent by or seen by. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of work on this one. So on stream by, we're going to say dot stream, and then we're going to go ahead and say dot map. And here we're going to go ahead and say user, and then user dot get user ID, like so. We could probably just say user : get user ID, but whatever, it's fine. replyTo, we're gonna go ahead and actually we skip this one because I think this one it breaks for whatever reason, which is not very cool, but it is what it is. And then inside reactions, we're gonna go ahead and say .stream as well, .map. We'll go ahead and map each reaction. And here we're gonna go ahead and return reaction.get reaction. So we'll just go ahead and print out basically the emojis. Go ahead and put that to list, and I need to also go ahead and add this one to list as well. So that's good to go. And then finally hiddenBy will do the same thing. So say stream and then map each user, and then we'll say user.get user ID to list. So we had an issue with this replyTo not quite working because I tried check to make sure it's null. If it was null, we do one thing, otherwise something else. I think it's okay because the JSON ignores and stuff, but if we run into issues later on down the road, I'll look into fixing that. But for what we were working on today, it was working fine, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now finally, go ahead and space CA to do our hash code equals, add in everything as well. So 9, 10, 11. There we go. And we should be good to go here. That's just part of the fun. We still have quite a bit more work to do, but fingers crossed I didn't typo anything, and message should be good to go now. So next up, to be able to actually make replies later on down the road, let's hop into the message type and just add in that reply type. So this one is simple enough. Let's come over here. Let's go ahead and add in reply. We're not going to need it this episode, but it'll be worth it to have whenever we get going on. Now, one final thing we have to do to kind of get all of our messages working is let's hop back into the message DTO, and we need to fix up one more thing. So this is what we're sending back and forth to our front end. That way we can pass in the conversation. Let's go ahead and also pass in the private and message replyTo. Let's go ahead and pass in a private and then set of application user, and we'll go ahead and call this, and I messed up, I did this in the wrong order, doesn't really matter, hiddenBy. We'll also go ahead and have a private set of message reaction, and then this one will be message reactions. I feel like we're missing one, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's go ahead and bring in message here. So we have hiding, reacting, and I guess creating reply is different. That's the replyTo, but I still feel like we're missing one. Oh, reading is the last one we're done, and we don't really do anything for that. That's fine. That's the seenBy, which we already have. So now we're gonna go ahead and make one more constructor here. So public message DTO, and I'm gonna get cheeky with this. I'm just gonna pass in a message. I'm gonna say message, and here I'm just going to say this.message ID. So you go to message.get message ID. We'll say this dot message type is equal to message.get message type. This dot conversation ID is equal to message.get conversation ID. This dot sent at is equal to message.get sent at. This dot sent by is equal to message.get sent by. This dot seenBy is equal to message.get seenBy. SeenBy. We'll say this dot message image is going to message.get message image. This dot message text is going to message.get message text. Almost done here. This dot replyTo is equal to message.get replyTo. This dot hiddenBy is equal to message.get hiddenBy. So now whenever we use this later on, we should be able to make our lives a little bit easier working on creating these DTOs when we're passing information back and forth. The last thing we need to do is go ahead and set up our getters and setters, not toString, space CA, generate getters and setters. Let's probably put it at the bottom again, unfortunately. So let's go ahead. Probably just going to delete this guy because we need to make a new toString anyway. Move that guy. Let's go ahead and make a toString. So space CA, generate a toString. Go ahead and add everything as well. So this should also go to 11. There we go. And let me double check to see if we did anything for our toString. Nope, this one should be fine. So let's go ahead and save that. And I'm going to actually double check this really quick on GitHub because I'm a little bit worried that we might break something. So let me just double check really quick. So yep, just confirm we don't do anything special with this toString. If we run into an issue later on, I'll probably just fix it on the fly. Okay, so now we are ready to actually start setting it up to create the reactions and everything. So first we need to go ahead and make an interface for our message reaction repository. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to go ahead and go into our repositories. And then we'll go ahead and say message reaction repository. So this one should be a pretty simple one. We're just going to go ahead and extend our JPA repository. So extends JPA repository, and we'll go ahead and have our message and reaction. If I could type, did I spell something wrong? Or is it just being dumb? I don't know. Probably that. And then integer. We'll see what's going on in a second. Let's see why I cannot get message reaction. I might have spelled something wrong. No, it's just being dumb. Okay. And here it's kind of an optional. Let's go ahead and import that. And then message reaction, and this is going to be find by our reaction and the user. Actually, it's be reaction user, whoops, and reaction and message, because these should all kind of be unique, more or less. I probably could have put it as unique, but only one user can do that one specific reaction on a message, so we should be able to find it this way. So application user, we'll go ahead and say string reaction. Finally, message. We need to probably import message. So there we go. That's good to go. And now we can go ahead and create the service. So space JC, and we'll go ahead and put this in services. And this will be message reaction service. Let's go ahead and hop in here. So here we're at and service. I forgot to put at repository above the other one, but it's not really that big of a deal. So at transactional on this as well. Go ahead and say private, maybe final, and then message reaction repository. I cannot type. And this will be message reaction repository, like so. And then we'll have our at autowired public and message reaction service. Pass in our message reaction repository, message reaction repository. This dot message reaction repository is equal to message reaction repository. We don't need anything else in here, just some methods to go ahead and work. Next, we're going to go ahead and set up a public message reaction, and it's going to be create or delete, and then reaction, because whenever you click on your own reaction, it's going to go ahead and take it off there for you. So here we're going to go ahead and pass in the application user. We're going to pass in the message, and then finally going to pass in a string reaction. Here we're going to go ahead and say optional and message reaction, and in here we'll say reaction optional is equal to message reaction repository dot find by user and reaction and message. We'll pass in the user, pass in the message, and everything else. Let's go ahead and do this. It's being dumb. Let's see why it's acting like this. Let's return null really quick to get rid of that issue. Optional is not imported, so let's go ahead and fix that. Let's fix the message issue. Maybe, I don't know why I can't find message, and I don't know why it's mad about this guy. Oh, because I messed up this, it didn't actually close off here. There we go. Okay, now we should be able to deal with this guy really quick. And then let's go ahead and delete this extra curly brace and fix this. I made a little bit of a mess here. Okay, so now we have gotten our optional message reaction. So we're gonna go ahead and say if reaction optional dot is empty. So if we don't have a reaction currently, we're gonna go ahead and say message reaction dot, or a message reaction is equal to a message reaction is equal to new message reaction. We're gonna go ahead and pass in the user, the reaction, and the message. And we'll go ahead and return the message reaction repository.save and then pass in that message reaction. So if it doesn't exist, we'll go ahead and create it. Otherwise, what we're going to go and do is say message reaction. Message reaction is equal to reaction optional and then .get. So we'll go ahead and pull that out. And then we'll go ahead and say message reaction repository .delete. We'll go ahead and delete that message reaction and then return that said message reaction. Then we do not need to return null here. Just need that as like a placeholder, and that was good. So if it exists, we'll remove it. If it doesn't exist, we'll create it. We're also going to go ahead and create a public boolean, and this is going to be reaction exists. So this will basically check to see if we had a reaction there. So we'll have application user we'll have our message in our string reaction. So this is just going to check for us. So we're going to return message reaction repository and then .find by reaction user reaction and message. We'll pass in all of those, and then we're just going to go ahead and say dot is present. So if it's present, it'll go ahead and return true. If it's not, return false. And that'll be an easy way for us to check to see if we have this inside of our message service or not. So with that being said, we are just like 1 or 2 more steps away from being able to actually react to messages. So next, let's hop into our message service, bring in our message reaction repository and service and everything, and get it method working to actually be able to react to a message. So let's go into our message service. Like I said, first thing we need to do is bring in that service, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here. I'm going to say private final, and it's going to be, we don't want conversation, we want message reaction repository, I believe. I think I messed up here. Not repository, we want message reaction service, and then message reaction service. Let's go ahead and add this in here. So let's come over to the right here, and we'll say message reaction service, message reaction service, and then we'll say, if I come over here, this message reaction service is equal to message reaction service. So now we can go ahead and use our message reaction service. Let's come down to below our create message. We'll go ahead and say public message react to message, and here we'll take in our application user, our message, and our string reaction. So we'll go ahead and say boolean deleted equal to message reaction service dot, and we're going to go ahead and see if the reaction exists chat, and we'll pass in all 3 of those objects basically. So then we'll say message reaction, go ahead and pull that in. Message reaction is equal to message reaction service, and then dot create or delete reaction. Again, we'll pass in all of that stuff. Go ahead and say set if I could type message reaction, and we're going to go ahead and get the current reaction. So message reactions with an S is equal to message.get reactions. And then in here, we're going to say if we deleted it, what we're going to go on and do is we're going to say not that. When we fix this, we're going to say message reactions dot stream and then dot filter. We're going to go ahead and filter R, and then R, make sure I do this right, R.get message, and then reaction ID. I don't know why it's not working. This is going to be fun. Is not equal to message. Whoops. If I could type, that'd be cool. Reaction.get message reaction ID. I'll figure out what's wrong here. And then dot to list. So let's see why this is mad. So if delete, this should be if deleted with a D. So that's one issue. And then we'll go ahead and bring in set from job util. Okay, I guess it's not actually mad at me. It's just being a little bit silly. That's fine. Otherwise, what we're going to do is message reactions.add and go ahead and add in that message reaction. And then we just need to go ahead and save this and return this. So we'll go ahead and say message dot set reactions. And then we'll go ahead and say message reactions. I don't think I ever saved this to the database, it doesn't seem like, so that's kind of a goof on my end. So we're going to go ahead and return message, repository dot save, and then go ahead and save that message. I don't know why or how I forgot to update the message or save it, but it is what it is. And we're also going to be go ahead and saving that reaction as well. So that part's good to go. Now we just have like two more things. We need to go ahead and create the endpoint inside of a controller. And we're also going to need a little bit of a DTO to get this all working. So let's hop into the controller to get that done. So once again, inside our mesh controller, I'm just going to go here. We're going to go ahead and say at post mapping. And this is going to have a value equal to / and then react. Go ahead and say public message react to message. And this is coming at request body. And here it's going to be a message react DTO and then body. So right now it's going to complain. So let's go ahead and create this. We'll go and say space JC. We'll say DTO. And then we'll go ahead and say message react DTO. All right, let's go ahead and create this guy. So this will be very simple. We'll have a private, and this is going to be an application user. Well, private message, and a private string reaction. I probably just could have passed a reaction, but whatever it is, what is. And then here we'll just go ahead and space CA, set up a constructor with nothing in it, space CA, set up a constructor with everything in it, and then space CA, getters and setters, space CA, a toString, and pass back all three. And then let's also go ahead and bring in our application user so it stops complaining, and our message so it stops complaining. And it's gonna complain because this guy's broken. So let's go back into our MessageController to get that fixed. So now inside of our MessageController, let's go and import this guy. He should be happy now, and we can return MessageService and then .react to message. Go ahead and pass in body.getUser, pass in body.get message, and pass in body.get, and this one is reaction. That's good to go. Go ahead and save that. So now theoretically, if I didn't typo anything and if everything works out, it should be good to go. Now the only thing I am concerned about is I wasn't, for whatever reason, saving the message inside the react to message, so that could throw a wrench in things. But let's just go ahead and take a look and see what happens here. Over here in Postman, let's go ahead and create a conversation so I can send messages back and forth to Rick. Great, the application's not running, so that means I broke something. Let's see what's going on here. Message DTO not found. Okay, let me just restart this really quick. Hopefully I didn't break anything because I don't want to debug this all night. Okay, it started. Let's try again. So once again, try to create this guy. There we go. Looks a lot better. We can go ahead and post a message with Rick. So user ID 1, message from Rick. Go ahead and send that. So we have a message now. Now if we want to go ahead and react, you can see I have the other stuff ready as well. If we want to go ahead and react, all we need to go ahead and do is pass in a body with the user, which I have the user ID. We have the message, which is just copied over from Rick. So we have message from Rick and a bunch of other information. And then we have the reaction emoji itself, which you can see I just have a smiley face. So if we go ahead and send this, fingers crossed it's not broken. And of course, let's see what I broke. We had this issue before, and I'm guessing it has to do with whenever we're trying to save this. So let me just take a look really quick. I might need to make one small change to this. I'm guessing the issue is if we go back into our message service, whenever we are passing this user, it might not think it's a full user or something. But let's try one thing here. Let's bring in the user service really quick. So private final user service and user, if I could type user service. So I didn't run into this issue until I just added that. And let's go ahead and bring in the user service over here. So go ahead and say user service, and then we'll go ahead and bring in the user service. This dot user service is equal to user service. So I didn't have this issue earlier until like I was trying to do something similar to this where the user was being pulled in from like a request. So let's also go ahead and say that our application user fetched, if I could type user is equal to user service dot get user by ID, and then say user dot get user ID. I don't know why this would cause the issue, but you never know. And then here we'll go ahead and do is here we'll go ahead and say fetched user. I don't know why this would make a difference, but you never know because that's the only thing we're changing here. Go ahead and save once again, and then we just restart the application and see if this works. So let's try one last time here, and then hopefully it works this time. So we'll go ahead and react. Again, we're just adding in our user ID. We could possibly change this. Hopefully it doesn't have the same error. Okay, cool. Same error. I don't know where this is coming from. Actually, this is a different one. I don't think this is the issue, but here inside of our cascade, instead of all, we have merge, and I don't think that's going to fix anything. All right, y'all. So I don't honestly know what was going on, but I went ahead and got rid of the fetched user here. And then what I also did is I went ahead and it was complaining about the message hash code. So I went back into the message hash code and just double checked here. And maybe you guys are eagle-eyed, can see what the difference is, but I basically just regenerated it and make sure it looked good. Maybe I forgot to regenerate it or something. I don't know, but it was new, but it was just working. So let me go ahead and try to recompile and see if it wants to continue working or if it's just going to be weird. So we hop back into Postman, go ahead and create a conversation once again, go ahead and create a message, and we can go ahead and try to react as unknown coder. And now it doesn't want to work. I'm not sure what's going on here. It literally just worked 2 seconds ago. All right, y'all. So a couple things went wrong. I don't know why it worked whenever I was testing earlier, but not now. The first thing, we're inside of the message reaction class here, and what was happening is whenever we were calling this hash code, it was basically calling message.hash, and then it was basically making a circular reference. Again, I don't know why it didn't cause this issue before, but maybe it's because we were looking at a specific method or something. I don't know, but that fixed that issue. And then the next issue came from whenever I forgot to actually save the messages again or update the messages inside the database. It had some unforeseen consequences, so we could probably actually make our lives a little bit easier. Let's hop into the message service, show you the changes I made there to get this working. So inside the message service, basically we still have our deleted, we still have our message reaction, but now we'll go ahead and fetch the actual message because we need the conversation. Otherwise it gets mad at us. Here we go ahead and we get the message reactions again. We do the same exact thing with the message reactions, except this time we add it to the fetch message and then save that. So now that I say that, watch it not work anymore. So let's once again try to clear the console and run it again. Let's hop into Postman. Let's go ahead and create our conversation. Let's go ahead and create our message. And now we're going to go ahead and react once again. So now really all we actually need is like the user ID if we really wanted to, and then like the message ID, and it'll make our lives a little bit easier as well as the reaction. But now fingers crossed, after I did all that debugging, it actually works. There we go. We can see we have a reaction. And that looks good. If we actually go into our dbeaver really quick, and let me go ahead and refresh our database here. Open this guy up, go into databases, go into FooterDB, schemas, go into public, tables, and then we can go ahead and go to our message reactions. And you can see in the data, we have our reaction, we have our message ID, we have our message reaction user, as well as the reaction ID. I don't know why it starts at 3. It's probably scuffed or whatever, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there. This was a little bit of disaster at the end. I don't know why it decided to stop working. I mean, obviously I added some extra code in there, so that caused some issues, but I don't know why the circular dependency was popping up. But thank you for bearing with me. I know I cut out a bunch of that, so hopefully it's not too unbearable for you guys. As always, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. If you guys do want to see where we started from absolute nothing to get to the point we are now, I have a playlist linked in the end video card as well. So with that being said, y'all, hope you have a great day. This has been Ethan on Coder, and I'll see you guys in the next video.